The Fairmont Grand Del Mar sprawled before us like a Tuscan dream, its honey-colored stones glowing in the San Diego sunset. My mother stood frozen at the entrance, her mouth slightly open as she took in the manicured gardens, the Tom Fazio golf course, and the army of white-gloved staff preparing for tomorrow's ceremony. This must be costing you a fortune," she whispered, clutching her knockoff designer purse. "Sarah, what have you done? Did you take out loans? Oh God, please tell me you didn't." "Mom, breathe," I said, guiding her through the marble lobby. "Everything's paid for." "But how? You work at that little marketing company. Unless," her eyes narrowed. "Is David's family paying?" I knew his parents had money, but this is. "David's parents aren't paying for anything," I interrupted. "And I don't work at a little marketing company." She waved dismissively, the gesture I'd seen 1,000 times. "Your internet thing, whatever. The point is, this venue costs more than you make in a year." I looked it up. It's $500 a plate minimum, and I counted at least 200 chairs. That's before the rooms, the flowers, the... "Mrs. Collins," a warm voice interrupted. Robert Castellano, immaculate in his tailored suit, approached with the kind of smile reserved for valued partners. "So wonderful to finally meet Sarah's mother. She speaks of you often." Mom straightened, putting on her company manners. "Oh, hello. Are you the wedding coordinator?" Robert laughed, a rich sound that drew glances from passing guests. No. I'm Robert Castellano. I own the property." He turned to me with genuine affection. "Sarah and I have been business partners for nearly 6 years now. Best decision I ever made, bringing her into the Castellano Hospitality Group." My mother's face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, and finally, a dawning horror as the pieces clicked together. "Business partners?" she croaked. "Equal partners," Robert confirmed. "Your daughter owns 50% of this resort, along with our properties in Napa, Aspen, and Miami. Didn't she tell you? Sarah's the one who transformed our entire digital presence and revenue strategy. We've tripled our bookings since she came aboard. For years, MOM gave my sister $50,000 annually while calling me the disappointment. At my wedding, she gasped seeing the venue and asked, 'How can you afford this?' I smiled and introduced her to the owner, my business partner. She nearly fainted when Robert kissed my cheek and excused himself to check on the kitchen, my mother sank onto a velvet settee, fanning herself with a wedding program. 'You own this place?' Her voice was barely a whisper. 'Half of it. The other half belongs to Robert.' But you never said. I thought you were doing social media or something frivolous." I sat beside her, remembering all the family dinners where she'd compared me to my sister. "You never asked, Mom. Every time I tried to tell you about my work, you'd change the subject to Melissa's latest achievement. Melissa is a doctor. Melissa is a dermatologist who does Botox injections," I said evenly. "There's nothing wrong with that, but let's not pretend she's performing heart surgery. She needed support. Medical school is expensive, which is why you gave her $50,000 every year for the past 8 years." "I know, Mom," she told me. My mother's face flushed. That money was to help her establish her practice. She needed it. She needed a $50,000 annual allowance on top of her $300,000 salary. You don't understand the pressures she faces. The loans, the lifestyle expectations. The Porsche? The penthouse? The monthly shopping sprees. I pulled out my phone, showing her Melissa's Instagram. "This is from last week. She's in Dubai, staying at the Burj Al Arab. That's a $2,000 a night hotel, Mom. She works hard. She deserves nice things. And I don't." The question hung between us like a blade. My mother fidgeted with her purse strap, avoiding my eyes. "You never needed help," she finally said. "Even as a child, you were so independent." Melissa was sensitive, artistic. She needed more support. "I was independent because I had to be," I said quietly. "Do you remember my college graduation?" "Of course I do." "No, you don't. Because you weren't there. Melissa had a headache that day, and you stayed home to take care of her. She was 26. That's not. My master's graduation? You missed that too. Melissa needed help moving into her 3rd apartment that year. When I got my first promotion. When I closed my first $1 million deal. When Forbes featured me in their 30 under 30-foot list." Each question hit like a small hammer. My mother's face crumpled. "I didn't know about Forbes. Because you never asked. Every family dinner, every phone call, it's always about Melissa. Her problems, her achievements, her needs. When I started my first company at 23, You told me to get a real job like your sister. That company failed. That company sold for $2.8 million after 18 months. I used the money to invest in hospitality tech, which is how I met Robert. My mother stared at me like I was a stranger. Why didn't you tell me any of this? I tried. God, Mom, I tried so many times. But you'd already decided who I was, the disappointment. The daughter who wasn't as pretty as Melissa, wasn't as charming, wasn't worth investing in. That's not true, isn't it? I stood, gesturing to the opulent space around us. You walked in here assuming I was in debt or marrying for money. It never occurred to you that I might have earned this myself. David appeared at my elbow, handsome in his casual elegance. He kissed my temple before extending his hand to my mother. Mrs. Collins, glad you made it safely. Has Sarah given you the tour yet? David, my mother said faintly. This place, it's very nice. He grinned. It should be. Sarah spent 2 years renovating it. You should see the spa, she designed it herself. It just won the Condé Nast Award for Best Hotel Spa in North America. I need air, my mother said. We walked to the terrace overlooking the golf course. The sunset painted everything golden, and I could see wedding guests beginning to arrive for the rehearsal dinner. My college friends, my business associates, David's family, all the people who'd become my chosen family over the years. There's Melissa, my mother said suddenly. My sister was stepping out of an Uber, not the Porsche she usually drove. She looked tired, older than her 34 years, designer sunglasses not quite hiding the stress lines. Why didn't she drive? Mom wondered aloud. Probably because I had to pay for her Uber, I said. She texted me yesterday. Apparently, she's having some financial difficulties. What? But she makes good money. She spends better money. Living off your annual gifts and her salary without saving anything works until it doesn't. Melissa spotted us and waved, making her way over in heels that probably cost more than most people's rent. Sarah, Mom, this place is insane. She hugged me, then whispered, Thank you for covering the Uber. I'll pay you back. We both knew she wouldn't. The rehearsal dinner is starting soon, I said. Your room should be ready, the presidential suite as requested. Melissa's eyes widened. The presidential. Sarah, I can't afford. It's covered. Consider it a wedding gift. You're too good to me, she said, and for once there was no sarcasm in it. I know I don't deserve it after everything. What's going on? Mom demanded. Melissa, what's happening with your finances? My sister's confident facade cracked. It's fine, Mom. Just a temporary cash flow issue. She's being sued, I said gently. One of her patients had a reaction to a procedure. Insurance will probably cover it, but the legal fees are eating her alive. Why didn't you tell me? Mom gasped. Melissa laughed bitterly. Because you just write another check, and I'm tired of being the daughter who needs rescuing. Do you have any idea what it's like being propped up your whole life? Never knowing if you're actually good at anything or if Mommy's money is the only reason you're surviving. But I was helping you. You were enabling me, Melissa said. I'm 34 years old, and I've never had to budget because I knew you'd bail me out. Sarah built an empire while I built a house of cards. She turned to me. I'm sorry. For all of it. The golden child thing, the money, the way I lorded it over you. You were becoming this incredible success, and I was too jealous to see it. You knew. Mom asked me. About her problems? She called me 6 months ago. I helped her find a financial advisor and a better lawyer. But you didn't give her money? She didn't want money. She wanted advice. It was the first real conversation we'd had in years. The rehearsal dinner was elegant but warm, filled with laughter and stories. Mom sat at the family table, visibly uncomfortable as person after person talked about my achievements, my kindness, my business acumen. Robert's toast was particularly illuminating. When Sarah walked into my office 6 years ago, I thought she was just another MBA with big dreams. Then she showed me a presentation that revolutionized how we thought about luxury hospitality. She didn't just want a job, she wanted to be a partner. I laughed at the audacity. She laughed back and said, "Give me 6 months. If I don't double your online revenue, I'll leave." She tripled it in 4 months. David's father, a federal judge, added his own perspective. Sarah clerked for me during law school. Brilliant legal mind, but she was drawn to business. I told her she was wasting her potential. Now she owns hotels and I stay in them. Shows what I know. Law school, my mother whispered. You went to law school? Yale, David supplied helpfully. Same class as me. That's how we met. Each revelation hit my mother like a physical blow. The daughter she'd dismissed as a disappointment had quietly built a life of extraordinary achievement while she poured money and attention into the one who struggled. Later, as guests mingled over cocktails, my mother found me on the terrace again. "I owe you an apology," she said quietly. "Several apologies. A lifetime of apologies. I don't need apologies, Mom. I needed recognition. I needed you to see me. I see you now." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I see what I missed. All those years, I thought Melissa needed me more because you were so strong. But you were strong because I gave you no choice. I made my choices," I said. "And they led me here. I have a life I love, a man who sees my worth, and a career that fulfills me. I didn't need your $50,000 a year. I needed your attention. Can we start over?" "We can start from here," I offered. "But Mom, things have to change. No more comparing us. No more financial favoritism. And you need to let Melissa stand on her own feet. She's my baby. She's a 34-year-old doctor. If she can't manage her finances by now, your money won't help." The wedding the next day was perfect. 200 guests in a paradise I'd helped create, marrying the man who saw my potential when my own family couldn't. Melissa was my maid of honor. We'd grown closer in the past 6 months than we'd been in decades. During the father-daughter dance, I danced with David's father, since mine had passed when I was young. I saw my mother really watching me for the first time. Not comparing me to Melissa, not finding me lacking, just seeing me. The moment that broke her completely came during the speeches. Robert announced that as a wedding gift, he was transferring an additional 10% ownership of the company to me, making me the majority owner. This young woman took a struggling luxury brand and made it the premier destination for discerning travelers. She deserves to lead us into the future. The applause was thunderous. The valuation of my new 60% stake? $47 million. My mother fainted. Actually fainted, requiring smelling salts and a very amused paramedic. "I'm fine," she kept saying as they checked her vitals. $47 million. My daughter is worth $47 million. "Actually," David said helpfully, "that's just the hotels. There's also her tech consulting firm and the real estate investments." This time, I caught her before she hit the ground. Later, as the reception wound down, my mother pulled me aside one last time. "You know what the worst part is?" she said. "I spent $400,000 on Melissa over 8 years. Money that could have been invested in your business, your dreams. Instead, I funded her lifestyle while you built an empire on your own. I didn't need your money, Mom." "No, but you needed your mother. And I failed you." She took my hands. "I can't change the past, but I can change the future. I want to know my daughter, the real one, not the disappointment I invented in my head. That might take time. I've got time. And Sarah, I'm proud of you. So incredibly proud. I just wish I'd said it sooner." I hugged her then, in the hotel I owned, wearing a dress I'd bought with my own money, surrounded by people who'd always seen my worth. It wasn't the ending I'd dreamed of as a child, wondering why Mommy loved Melissa more. But it was real, and it was mine. And in the business world, I'd learned that real was always better than perfect. The epilogue? Melissa is doing better. She sold the Porsche, downgraded the penthouse, and is actually building a legitimate practice. She texts me for advice instead of money. My mother has started therapy to understand why she played favorites. She's also become my biggest cheerleader, though it still feels strange after 30 years of dismissal. And me? I'm expanding to Europe next year. Turns out, when you stop waiting for your mother's approval, you can accomplish anything, even forgiveness. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.